Hi there! Censorship is quite rampant in 2022, so instead of saying the name of this country, I will simply call it UA. This video will be eye-opening to some, because mainstream media in the West constantly calls this military operation, or war, unprovoked in that Russia is only interested in domination and not the protection of ethnic Russians in eastern Ukraine. There are hundreds of videos of citizens from Mariupol saying that it was the UA army, Azov battalions, and the right sector who were shooting them in cold blood. You're probably asking, why? It's not possible for a country to be using their citizens as bait, as a means to an end, to accomplish a goal, no matter the cost. Well, what I'm about to show you, at a minimum, will get you thinking or change your mind entirely. It is very important to share, comment, react to, and like this video because the information needs to be known. Also, subscribe to my Telegram and my Yandex Zen account. Links are in the description below. The person in the video is not a random blogger. He is Alexei Arestovych. Look him up. He is the advisor to the president of UA, to Zelensky.
С вероятностью 99,9% наша цена за вступление в НАТО – это большая война с Россией. А если мы не вступим в НАТО, это поглощение России в течение 10-12 лет. Вот и вся вилка, в которой мы находимся. А теперь давайте выбирайте Зеленского.
Подождите, а теперь если поставить чашу на весах, а что лучше в таком случае?
Конечно, крупная война с Россией и переход в НАТО по результатам победы над Россией.
Что такое может быть крупная война с Россией?
Это воздушная операция наступательная, вторжение российских армий, вот 4, которые они создали на наших границах, там осада Киева, попытка окружить войска, которые в АТО находятся, ВОЗ, в операции объединенных сил, прорыв через Крымский перешейк, выход на Новокаховское водохранилище, чтобы воду в Крым дать, наступление с территории Беларуси, там, создание новых народных республик, диверсии, удары по объектам критической инфраструктуры и так далее, воздушный десант. Вот что такое полноценная война. И вероятность ее 99%.
Когда?
После 21-22 самые критические, 20-22 самые критические эти самые.
Did you get that? Seriously? Did you? I mean, an open war with Russia is better than being absorbed into Russia. This is the advisor to Zelensky in March of 2019, 2 months before Zelensky became the president. And again, absorbed into Russia, this was when the Minsk agreements that were meant to bring peace to all citizens of UA were still on the table. And in those agreements, the Lugansk and Donetsk republics were supposed to be part of UA. Go ahead, link is in the description below. Read those agreements and understand them. Understand every point. But why not neutrality? What is wrong with staying neutral? Considering the fact that at least 22% in UA identify themselves as ethnic Russians, not just Russian speakers. Zelensky knew back in 2019 that absorption into NATO would cause this conflict, and in December 2021, Putin said NATO deploying its troops and weapons to UA represented a red line for Russia and would trigger a strong response. But let's go back to 2008, April 4th. NATO conference in Romania, Bucharest. At the Bucharest summit, NATO allies welcomed UA's and Georgia's Euro-Atlantic aspirations for membership and agreed that those countries will become members of NATO. And in the same year, Georgia, the country, ignites a conflict with Russia. Russia marches towards Tbilisi but does not take over Georgia. So unprovoked? Really? I mean, over 14 years of color revolutions, troop training, and funding of the UA war machine, this is unprovoked? I don't think so, but you decide. Now listen to the same person in 2022 after the operation began.
Чому не можна було оголосити Україні, що Росія точно нападає, коли ми вже знали, що нападає? Тому що почалась би масовий вихід біженців, масований. І вони б забили всі дороги. Це було 8, 10, 12 мільйонів людей. І армія би не пройшла в райони оборони. Понімаєш, да? Це повний параліч доріг. В цьому випадку це дуже бажана ситуація для російського воєнного керівництва. І в цій ситуації ми, напевно, програвали війну і лівобережжя все. Тому що з лівого берега пішли б на правий, 50 мостів всього в Україні. Було б забите все, жодним чином ми не впоралися з цією ситуацією. Єдиний вихід – танками давити власних громадян, розстрілювати, щоб пройти через мости.
Did you understand that? They could have warned their own citizens, but they didn't. Because if they did, they would have to run them over with tanks or shoot them to get to the front. Their own citizens. even though they already had thousands of troops at the front and they had at least 3 years to prepare. And here is the most horrible part. With every civilian casualty, more sanctions are put upon Russia and more lethal military aid is sent to UA from Europe and the US. Now, if the UA is willing to run over their own civilians and their own citizens with tanks to win this war, think about what they're willing to do to those 22% who identify themselves as ethnic Russians, or those who work or welcome Russian troops. Do you get it now? Do you get who benefits directly from the massacres such as the one that happened in Bucha? Do you understand that every civilian death only brings more aid to UA from the West? Do you now understand why thousands of civilians from Mariupol are saying that the army of UA, Azov, and the right sector have been using them as human shields? Because they were left there by their own government to be human shields, and that is disgusting. Now you will say that I'm a bot of the Kremlin spewing propaganda, and who you believe is entirely up to you, but I'm gonna leave you with one final video from Arestovych.
Непрерывная война. Это военный лагерь. Осажденная крепость. Это должен быть военный лагерь. Да, то есть все должны ходить, как в Израиле, с оружием. Основные 20% национального бюджета на войну. Дети с детства знают, и старики знают, что если что, плохо будешь воевать, конец. И так далее. То есть мы должны быть таким Израилем в квадрате. Подождите, но мы не являемся Израилем в квадрате. А это означает что? Что мы врем себе. Национальная идея Украины, одна из центральных национальных идей Украины, это как можно больше врать себе и другим. Потому что если сказать правду, рухнет все. И надо придумать что-то другое.
And to those people of UA in my comment section, this is your leadership. These are their words. And I hope peace comes as soon as possible. And every civilian death is a tragedy. But to me it is clear that every civilian death in UA directly, financially and morally benefits only one party in this war. And it's not Russia. So the decision who you believe is entirely yours. See you in the comments below.